Welcome, everyone. Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It is March 21st, 2019. Presented, as always, by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there to find the show. A bunch of great articles there as well. Tons of stuff. It's awesome. It's cool. It's where all the cool people are right this minute. marijuanatimes.org. Today, we're talking about Texas and medical marijuana. Maybe an expansion of the existing medical marijuana program there. Also, we'll talk about cannabinoids and cancer and Connecticut committee chair possibly coming together with several marijuana legalization bills to bring them to a possible vote. You know the way these things go, as we've seen in New Jersey and other states. The process is long. We'll talk about all of that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. If you're growing cannabis in a state where it is legal, grow safe, and poison-free, don't use banned pesticides. Be regulatory compliant. You can do all of these things with Natureside, nature-side.com. Site is spelled C-I-D-E, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Go and check them out. Now, on to Texas. Story from Julia Granowitz at marijuanatimes.org. Texas considers expanding its restrictive medical marijuana law. Basically, as many of you know, Texas's medical marijuana law consists of low THC CBD oil, and only for people who have epileptic conditions. State Senator Jose Mendez said, quote, "I think that the current Compassionate Use Act in Texas is worthless. We say to cancer patients, I'm sorry, you're not worthy of it. HIV patients, sorry. Glaucoma, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, cystic fibrosis, cerebral palsy, Alzheimer's, hepatitis C, you name it, you're just not worthy." The Texans do have 3 dispensaries to access their low THC cannabis oil. Julia points out it is only available to patients with intractable epilepsy and only after they have had no success or relief with at least 5 other medications. Just the ludicrousness of that sentence smacks me in the face. And why it doesn't smack more people in the face, I don't know. Somebody with intractable epilepsy not allowed to try medical marijuana, even though it's legal to do so in their state, until they've gone through 5 other medications, seeing, hey, what are the side effects for this one? I don't know. Will there be blood involved? Will I not be able to eat? Will I lose a bunch of weight? Will I gain a bunch of weight? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. And once I was been deemed that it does not work, then I can go on to 4 other ones. And once I get through all those, then maybe some low THC CBD oil can be provided, but only after all that. That's garbage. That's absolute garbage. You say it's better than nothing, but I mean, what standard are we talking about? What scale are we talking about? It's slightly better than nothing, and just about anything else would be better than it. I don't know. All this seems unnecessary. So bizarre. So bizarre. Next story. From the blog of Normal Case Studies, cannabinoids associated with anti-cancer activity. Now, I can hear a lot of you right now, even people in the cannabis community, when you bring up cancer and marijuana, you'll get a ton of people that will label you a conspiracy theorist or worse. A lot of people will shy away from this issue. I haven't done the issue very much, to be quite honest. I've done it a few times on the show in reference to studies and things like that. But there is growing evidence. The anecdotal evidence is, if you go on the internet looking for anecdotal evidence of people having their cancer cured by marijuana, you'll find a lot of it. A lot. Not only with Rick Simpson, but beyond. You'll never find an end to stories of people who have cured their cancer or helped their cancer with cannabis. I'm not just talking about helping with the side effects, chemo or whatever. I'm talking about cannabis having a destructive effect on cancer cells. There are mountains of studies. The mountain of monumental evidence is even bigger. The amount of anecdotal evidence is even bigger when it comes to this. But again, you say anything about cancer having a destructive effect on cancer cells, cannabis having a destructive effect on cancer cells, and people will throw a fit. Oh, that's incredible. No, you can't say that. That's a conspiracy theory. You're like Alex Jones. They'll start calling you Alex Jones. I can point you to a ton of studies. You Google a ton of studies. I know That's what Alex Jones says. I got the papers. We have the proof right here, the documentation. It's all on Google. It's public property. It's public. No, seriously. Go Google cancer and cannabis and see what you find. Watch the Rick Simpson documentaries. Listen to all these people who have no vested interest. It's like they're big, the big marijuana is just people who had cancer. Now they don't. And they say cannabis cured their cancer. And the studies that show how cannabis will destroy cancer cells while leaving healthy cells intact is growing by the month, by the year, whatever. You can go look all this stuff up for yourself. I'm not telling you to take my word for it. By all means, go look it up. That's my point. Why isn't full-scale research? If cannabis cures cancer, would that not be the biggest medical breakthrough in the last 100 years? What else are you going to throw up against it? Vaccines? HIV medications? I don't care. I don't care. Nothing over time would save more lives than a cure for cancer. You watching, if you don't have cancer, you know someone who does, who did, you know someone who died from it, you have a relative who had it or has it or died from it. One side of my family, just about all of them who have died in the last 40 or 50 years, all died from cancer. All of them. That's probably what I'll die from. I have little doubt of that. But, and that if cancer could be cured on a wide scale, we're talking about hundreds of millions of people not dying. I can't think of anything bigger than that. You talk about medical breakthroughs. I think in the history of mankind, a cure for cancer has got to rate top 5. I mean, are you kidding me? What else is there? Like I said, what would have saved more lives? What can you say besides vaccines? What? I don't think there's anything. I know I sound more like Alex Jones every day. The documentation! The documentation! Here, buy this powder. Listen. Doesn't it... Why would we look into it? Anyway, I didn't even talk about this story. I should do that. Stop. I just went on a rant about cannabis and cancer for 5 minutes. I didn't talk about the story. From Normal, out of United Kingdom. The administration of cannabidiol, CBD, is associated with anti-cancer responses in human subjects, according to a pair of recently published case studies. In the first study, British investigators reported on the use of CBD in an 81-year-old lung cancer patient following his decision to decline chemotherapy treatment. Authors reported that the patient's tumor size was reduced following the use of CBD extracts. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, oh, that's one person. I understand. Believe me, you're right. It's one person. But it is one person. And you had one person, you had another person, and you start talking about hundreds of people and thousands of people who say the same thing, you begin to see a pattern. And dozens of studies that say the same thing, you begin to see a pattern. They concluded, quote, the data presented here indicate that CBD may have had a role in the striking response in a patient with histologically proven adenocarcinoma of the lung as a result of self-administration of CBD oil for a month, and in the absence of any other identifiable lifestyle, drug, or dietary changes. Further work is needed both in vitro and in vivo, and to better evaluate the various mechanisms of action of CBD on malignant cells. Yes, yes, yes. More research, yes. Why aren't the best people? Where are the best people? This is what I'm always told government's for. Government, they have the best people working on these problems. Well, government, find the best people and have them look into this. You might want to look into it. I'm just saying. I'm not one for hype and hyperbole. I hate it. I hate when people get on Instagram like, oh, I did this diet and it's the greatest thing. But I heard 50 other people say that about their diet. I'm not that person. But this, I've read these studies and these stories for over 10 years. There has to be something there. That's what I'm saying. There has to be something there. All of this is wrong. All these studies are off base. All of these people are full of crap and their cancer was cured by something else, so they're just lying. All of them? I find that hard to believe. I really do. Say what you will. By the way, I don't care if people call me a conspiracy theorist as long as you're watching and listening and I'm getting this information in front of people. Whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But please don't deplatform me. I don't have the reach are the resources of Alex Jones. Please don't deplatform me. / story out of Connecticut from marijuanamoment.net. Connecticut committee chairs unveil marijuana legalization plan. Last week, legislative committee leaders in Connecticut announced a new plan to legalize recreational access to marijuana in the state. But instead of releasing one comprehensive bill that proposes a new system to legalize, tax, and regulate cannabis sales for adults, legislators moved to file several related pieces of legislation. Boy, that sounds promising, doesn't it? Not one bill, but 3 bills. They're going to get them all passed. Legalizing a substance that has been illegal for more than 80 years is a complicated process, said Representative Michael D'Agostino, co-chair of the General Law Committee. He said that during a press conference. By the way, it's not that complicated. It's just not. You make it complicated, and you add a bunch of stuff onto it that makes it complicated. But in and of itself, just because it's been 80 years, that means nothing. It can be 800 years. All the laws that prohibit marijuana, you repeal them. You wipe them away, and then you're done. Like I said, don't matter if it's 80 years, 800 years, all of them gone. But if you're going to make it complicated and make hundreds of pages like they're doing in New Jersey and in New York, I read a story today, and I'll probably talk about it tomorrow. The bill just for legalization alone in New Jersey is 176 pages. But what can you say for 176 pages? I could talk about cannabis for an hour. I don't think it would take up to 176 pages. What are you doing? You can make it complicated. And it sounds like, boy, Connecticut's like, hey, that's us. That's right up our alley. Complicated? Right here, man. Right here. I'm here for this. Isn't that what millennials on the internet say? I'm here for this. That's what Connecticut says about complicated marijuana legalization. He says the way we approached it this year was to divide this process into 3 main areas: regulation, decriminalization, and monetization. Each area will be considered by a relevant committee: general law, judiciary, and finance. Because of the procedure in the legislature, we could not just have one bill, D'Agostino said. So in Connecticut, well, look forward to this story being in your news for a while. It just is. It's going to be a while. Like it is in New Jersey, like it's going to be in New York and many other places. It's going to be a while in Connecticut. But in the end, you may have legalization. You may not, but you may. I don't know. It may never get there. I'm still hearing about New Jersey legalizing. That's what I hear. They're going to legalize marijuana in New Jersey. I don't know. I've heard that before. No, we'll talk about this. We're supposed to vote on that next week. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the show. Thanks everybody for checking out Cannabis News. Of course, marijuanatimes.org. Go check us out there. Click the video tab there. Subscribe on YouTube to the Marijuana Times. We're almost to 2,000 subscribers. We actually may be there. I haven't checked today. That would be awesome. Also, Apple Podcasts, search the Marijuana Times for the audio-only version of the show. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you to all of you for watching and listening today. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.